It's Hall of Fame weekend in Ypsilanti, honoring Eastern Michigan legends, and they're also celebrating chrome and horsepower at the 4th Annual Classic Car Show. Conference play continues as the Eagles welcome Coach Hammock and his Huskies in a pivotal MAC matchup. History, horsepower, and hard-hitting football next. You're watching the MAC on ESPN here at Rynearson Stadium. It's the Eastern Michigan Eagles taking on the Northern Illinois Huskies on a gorgeous day for college football. And welcome, everybody. Along with Barrett Brooks, I'm Doug Sherman. Glad you're with us here this afternoon. This week, Chris Creighton, the head coach for Eastern, said the MAC is a bloodbath again this year, and he expects one, if not both, of the teams that make the MAC championship to have 2 losses, and so that opens the door for both of these teams to keep believing.
Absolutely. There's so much parity in the MAC right now, and the coaching is really going to be setting these teams apart. The athletes are pretty equal, but coaching is going to have to make a difference.
For Northern Illinois, we will get our second look as a starter at true freshman quarterback Brady Davidson. If you went to Central Casting, he would be your guy.
He is the perfect size, 6'5", 225 pounds. He played the game, very, very tough. A really good athlete. He's going to go perfect with this running game of the Huskies. I'm looking forward to see what he can do out the pocket, but he just needs more experience.
Meanwhile, for Eastern, their quarterback, very experienced, the former Michigan State Spartan, Noah Kim, putting up tremendous numbers.
Yeah, he's 6'2", but kind of slight in size. He's only 185 pounds. But I tell you what, those coaches say he's one of the stronger players on this team. What makes him good is he's an athlete, and they're allowing him right now to get outside the pocket and run a little bit. Maybe they have some more running plays for him, but I really, really like the way this guy plays, and he's a tough guy to be so skinny.
Here we have the head coaches, Coach Thomas from Northern Illinois and Chris Creighton. Both guys have good teams that can really go out and really be a factor in this MAC conference.
And so we should have a contrast in styles here today, the defense of Northern and the offense of Eastern Michigan. And with that, the Eagles won the toss and opted to receive, and we are underway here at the factory. And the Eagles offense will come onto the field first. And as we've talked about, Noah Kim, one of the captains, a grad transfer who spent last year at Coastal Carolina as a Chanticleer's backup, is very familiar with this part of the state of Michigan. He spent 4 years at East Lansing, including starting a handful of games for the Spartans.
Yeah, and I like the way this kid plays. You're talking about a guy that, he looks like he's only 185 pounds, a little skinny, but they say he's one pound for pound, one of the strongest guys on the team.
Eastern Michigan in their home green on the gray turf here at Rynearson. Start with 2 running backs. Go to the air on first down. Complete out around the 30-yard line. Porter Rooks, the receiver, former North Carolina State Wolfpack. And a lot of Eastern Michigan players are scratched today. For the second straight week, Terry Lockett Jr., their #1 receiver, is out. Tavier Dunlap, their #2 running back, is also sidelined, so the offense needs some of its reserves to step up. Here is the dynamic running back, Dante McMillan, a graduate from Seattle and a transfer from Weber State, who earlier this year went over 2,000 career yards.
Yeah, we're talking about a guy that can really run in between the tackles. He's very, very selective on how he plays, picks his holes. But I think this offensive line, we're going into this second game with the same lineup, and I think this is going to be a major factor. Because they're a veteran offensive line, a lot of seniors and juniors, I think they'll work well together, even though they've been playing musical chairs at the offensive line position.
Well, they are on schedule 3rd and 1, and this is something Eastern's been very good at this year, converting on 3rd down, but not this time. Jasper Beeler, the safety, came up to make the tackle for loss, and that'll bring up 4th down.
It was a loaded defense that Northern Illinois put on the field just then. They covered every single gap. And, I would have tried to throw the ball, but they run a read option. They give it to the running back. Maybe they should have let Kim take it and pull it and run around instead of giving it to the running back. There were holes to get through.
And so now the most prolific punter in the MAC, Mitchell Thomasek, 5th in the nation at 48 yards per punt. Will try to flip the field. Timeout Northern Illinois. as head coach Thomas Hammock walks out onto the field. He didn't like what he saw and burns his first TO.
Well, you got to be very, very cautious when you're going to games like this. You don't want to start off with a bad play. Maybe he saw, a set that he hadn't seen with a fake play or something of that nature, because everybody's going to pull off all the stops in this MAC conference because it's so equal as far as talent and the way things are going. They're beating up on each other.
Thomas Hammock, a 44-year-old who absolutely bleeds cardinal and black. Native of Jersey City, New Jersey, who was a star running back at Northern Illinois before a heart problem ended his playing career, but it led him into coaching. And now in his 7th year as his head coach at his alma mater. And so after using the timeout, Tomasek back out to punt, standing at his own 18. On the run, the catch is made by Diari Rogers. He flips to midfield. Northern Illinois will start with tremendous field position. And we'll take a break and introduce you to the offense of the Huskies when we come back to Ypsilanti. In this day of transfer portal and NIL, Thomas Hammock really is a throwback the way he continues to build this program year after year.
Yeah, you talk about a culture in which he excels because he wants to develop players as opposed to, this I'm going to stay here for a second and go to another team. He definitely rewards guys that even when you walk on and you stay and you choose to stay, he awards these guys with scholarships. You want to be able to think that when you're a player that you can come out and really, really have an opportunity to win a scholarship just by staying.
7 former walk-ons have started every game this year. A number of others have started and play key roles. On offense, as usual, a lot of 2 running back sets. And so therefore Eastern Michigan is going to load up the box. They're going to have to throw the football to loosen up that defense.
Absolutely. We know Northern Illinois wants to run the ball. This is almost what you call running back U. They've always got a good running back, especially with Coach Hammock being here. But they're sitting there and they're shooting the gaps. They're called run blitzes as opposed to passing blitzes. They want to cover every gap, every play.
So Lazaro Rogers, who announced his presence last week on the first play from scrimmage, gets the football again. And the true freshman is dropped after a gain of 2. That'll bring up 3rd down and 9. And let's see if Northern goes to the air with its true freshman quarterback, Brady Davidson.
You watch they're running RPOs. Well, that was just a run pass option, but you got to understand he might pull this, and he had a lot of green grass on the outside. This is why he's starting. He's 6'5", and he's an athlete. He can get out there and run just as good as a running back.
There you see their first-year offensive coordinator, Quinn Sanders. Trips to the top of your screen. Chavon Wright, the active leader in all of NCAA football in rushing yardage, stays in to block the pass out of the reach of Gary Gibbons III, and it's a 3-and-out from midfield for Northern Illinois' offense.
Yeah, you know, they want on the defensive side of the ball for this Eagle defense. They don't mind going man-to-man on the outside, just as long as they can bring pressure to stop the run. They have a lot of confidence on those guys out there covering the receivers.
Well, 3-and-out, forget that. They're going to go for it on 4th and nearly 10. It's a pooch punt. They did the same thing last week, and the bounce takes it into the end zone. Brady Davidson, left-footed. That's what catches my eye. He's a right-handed throwing quarterback, but when he pooch punts, it's with the left foot. It's a 48-yard punt, but it went into the end zone. So the net is not great, and so we'll get the Eastern offense back out of the field.
This reminds me a lot of my rookie year in the NFL. I played with Randall Cunningham, and he was just as good as a quarterback. He could have probably went to the Pro Bowl as far as being a punter if he specialized in punting and did that as a pro. He was really good at that. So this pooch punting is kind of new to everybody else, but to me, Randall Cunningham, RC, definitely was very, very good at it.
Alongside 12-year NFL veteran Barrett Brooks out of Kansas State, I'm Doug Sherman. Glad you're with us on First Down. That pass was to the outside of Dante McMillan. He was looking inside, incomplete from Noah Kim.
Yeah, that's just not being on the same page with your running back. Throws it to the outside. He didn't turn his head.
And so without Terry Lockett, keep your eye on Nick Devereaux, number 81, top of your screen. He is their best deep threat. Had a long touchdown reception last week. On the screen, McMullen with some space across the 25, steps out of bounds across the 30, and that'll move the sticks, a pickup of 11.
Yeah, this is great because they caught him in man-to-man, and the linebacker had the running back on the play, and he couldn't get out there fast enough on the wheel route on the outside, so just get it to him. It's just an extended handoff to the running back, and when you have a running back that can catch, it really helps you out because out in space, that's when he can do the most damage.
Well, McMillan leads the MAC in rushing yards, 6.5 yards per carry, and 119 all-purpose yards per game. He had a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown in last week's heartbreaking loss at Buffalo, but they're going to ride number 28 all afternoon long.
He's a special talent. You know, he can do it all, catch out the backfield. But I like his way he runs in between the tackles. He picks his holes, run very, very patient. But once he gets it going, he has another gear when he gets in open space.
Yeah, he's a grown man back there, 5'10", 203 pounds, out of Chief Sealth High School in Seattle. Fake the handoff to him. Kim rolling out and gets rid of the football with one of the captains, Roy Williams III, an NFL prospect, number 97 in white, in pursuit. And for this Northern Illinois defense, those guys up front on the ends, Jelani Williams, Roy Williams, no relation, but they are both terrific for the Huskies.
Yeah, you know, Noah Kim, he's going to have to watch these guys and make sure he's be very selective. He does a great job on third down, 25, for 48. But I tell you what, he can make things happen because he's so versatile and such a good athlete.
The line to gain is the 41. Kim throws near side, and he throws his receiver wide open for an easy sliding catch. Benson Prosper. He won a junior college national title last year at Hutchinson Community College, and the young man out of Hollywood, Florida, with a big first down catch.
That's trust with Noah Kim. They're kind of speeding it up a little bit.
Playing with tempo, keep it on the ground once again. And McMillan across midfield.
And there they are. This offense is starting to tenderize the defense. Once you start throwing to the outside, then it's going to open up the middle because now you're forced to cover and try to stop the run.
McMillan on the receiving end. He's chopped down at about the 46-yard line. That'll bring up third down and short as Eastern remains on schedule with its offense.
This may be a shot play for this offense. Noah Kim's arm is good enough that he can push the ball down the field.
Showing blitz. And so Kim changes the play. He's got McMillan in the backfield with him. Northern brings 6. He's going to run the football, and he's tripped up, but falls forward for a first down. Able to make the tackle.
Their offensive coordinator said they like his athleticism. They like Kim's athleticism. They like the way he can go out there and run in space. But, hey, they don't want to get him out there so much that he gets beat up on a little bit. And sometimes Kim, he's a daredevil. He'll run into it instead of sliding. He needs to learn how to slide. Stop, drop, and roll.
Noah Kim, the son of Tay and Tina Kim, grew up outside of Washington, D.C. in Centerville, Virginia. Fakes the handoff, pulls, runs through a hole, and again falls forward for positive yardage. It's another positive play on first down.
At 6'2", he's only 185 pounds, and he sticks his nose up in there like he's, built like Cam Newton. But I'll tell you what, he's got to learn. Those guys on the side of the ball, they want him. He has an X on his helmet, and they're going to try to hit him as much as they can.
Well, again, he's a fifth year who's been using the same personal quarterback since he was in the 2nd grade. A lot of time spent perfecting his craft. The handoff to McMillan. A huge hole up the middle. And the Eagles are just chewing up yardage.
They caught him in a nickel defense. It only had 4 down linemen and 2 linebackers in the box. That's a 6-man box. You run the ball against them. When they started the game, they filled every box. They had an 8-man box in there. Now it's a 6-man. Now this running back can kind of look and pick and choose the holes he wants to go through.
James Jointer, a senior running back from Little Rock, Arkansas, now in the game for the first time. There's McMillan in motion. Kim looking his way all the way, and McMillan didn't look the football into his hands, drops it. So it'll be 2nd down and 10.
Well, they kept themselves on time. Those bad plays right there, they haven't had many this game. But if they can continue to do this, continue to look on the outside and make sure. He's got to make sure he keeps the ball. Look the ball into your hands. As soon as you get it, then you can go out there and make a play. There was nobody around him. It would have been a positive gain, and they'd have been, 2nd and manageable as opposed to now being 2nd and 10.
Kim now 4 for 7, 28 yards through the air, 2nd down and 10. Pocket collapsing. Kim thinks about running in pursuit. To force him to throw the football away was the everywhere man, Quinn Erweiler. Senior linebacker, one of those former walk-ons and a huge playmaker in the MAC.
Those who stay will have an opportunity to win a scholarship. But, that's just a senior going out there and pushing another senior. 2 of the best players on the field right now trying to make a play.
Erweiler had a career-high 16 tackles earlier this season against San Diego State. That's the 2nd most this year in all of FBS. So he forces a 3rd and 10. Kim looking left, throwing left. It's caught inside the 20-yard line. Got to get to the 13 for a first down. Play stopped in bounds after the pickup by Porter Rooks.
What do you do right now? If you're Coach Creighton, you have a lot of confidence in Noah Kim. And, with the different formations they've had 12 personnel. That's 1 running back, 2 tight ends. They've had 21 personnel, 2 running backs, and 1 tight end. It's hard for this defense to really get a beat on them because they have so many personnel packages they're bringing into the game.
The red zone numbers are impressive, and they will try to stay perfect here with another red zone trip field goal. Rudy Kessinger from 35 yards out. It is good. Eastern Michigan on its 2nd drive puts points on the board in this matchup of a couple of teams in desperate need of a victory. The Huskies trail the Eagles early 3-0. Fall has arrived in southeast Michigan. 61 degrees, a few clouds, some sun peeking through on a perfect college football Saturday.
Great football Saturday.
We are at Eastern Michigan University. What, about 20 minutes outside of Detroit?
20 minutes, nice little ride down 94.
You played for the Lions for a couple of years. What are your recollections of this part of the state, this part of the country?
We didn't hang out down here too much, but back when I played here, we were still in Pontiac. We were in a yak still, and one of the former greats here, I played with Charlie Batch. Charlie Batch is from this area. He went to school here, and I get on him all the time thinking he was that guy, but turned out to be a really good quarterback. 15 years in the NFL. I played with him both here in Detroit and also won a Super Bowl with him in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, 49 players have gone from Eastern Michigan to the NFL, most notably T.J. Lang, the two-time Pro Bowl lineman, Ron Johnson, Charlie Batch, as I mentioned, and, of course, Max Crosby, who, along with his wife, put $1 million down last year, and now the field is named Crosby Field after what Max has done and continues to do for this program under the direction of Chris Creighton.
He's a real good dude also, upstanding guy. He went through a lot, and because he went through it, it made him not a better person, but a great person. One of the better defensive ends in the league. He sets the tone for that entire defense with the Raiders.
And they've got a pretty good defensive end here in Carter Evans, another guy who has built himself up, wearing number 0 today. That represents he is this week's hard hat defender. That's a big honor to wear the 0 at Eastern Michigan. And the senior out of Prairie Ridge High School in Illinois having himself a really good final year in green. His defensive coordinator says of Carter Evans, we rely so heavily on his versatility to allow us to do other things.
He has a big size and frame that he can stop the run, set the edge on the outside, but he can also mix a pass rush on the outside also against these tackles.
Javon Wright stopped after a 3-yard gain. And Carter Evans told us earlier this week that this game, playing Northern Illinois, means a little bit more because his older brother Shane used to play for the Huskies. And when Carter was a kid, he would come and watch Northern Illinois play. No room to run there. It'll bring up 3rd down and 7.
Both of these teams understand what you have to do to stop these offenses, and that's not allow them to establish the run. And we know that Northern Illinois, that's what they do. Husky football is all about the physicality up front. Can you beat the guy in front of you? And that's what Coach Hammock, that's what he preaches. He wants you to come off and be a nail driver on every single play when you're an offensive lineman.
Brady Davidson dumps it down to Telly Johnson Jr., breaks a tackle across the 30-yard line. That'll bring up 4th down.
Showing great balance on the outside, a little wheel route, and it was a great play because the inside receivers set a natural pick by going out on their pass routes. You're a defender, and this is a man-to-man concept, it's hard to get through and wade through all that traffic to get out to your guy, that running back. So, it's good play calling by him, but he just didn't get the first.
Yeah, Johnson is the 2nd leading receiver so far this year for Northern Illinois. That's his 10th reception, but he came up just short. And they're going to go Wildcat, or at least give the appearance on 4th and 1. The line to gain is the 35, and they get there. Javon Wright, 5'8", 212 pounds, who is the active career leader with 76 rushing touchdowns.
Unbelievable.
Able to get the 1st down.
Absolutely, and it was just, nothing pretty about it, just man-to-man football. I'm going to drive you off the ball, take you off the ball, and that's exactly what happened. That offensive line played bigger than the defensive line of the Eagles.
Well, Wright spent the last 4 years at Division II, University of Charleston in West Virginia, and was prolific the last 3 years and followed his then head coach Quinn Sanders, who is now the offensive coordinator, to Northern Illinois. But Wright's numbers, he was a Division II All-American, led the country with 2,200 rushing yards and a D2 record, 38 touchdowns last year.
Unbelievable, and his size, he's just a fire hydrant, and he gets going north and south, it's hard to take him down, and he has some speed to bring to the table also.
And so after giving up that 4th down conversion, Eastern Michigan uses a timeout. And you may have noticed the Eastern Michigan coaches have a little different look to them in this game. They are wearing their work shirts. And it's all part of the ethos here at Eastern Michigan University that they're coming to work. This is the
Set the
factory.
culture.
Absolutely. And it matches this part of the country.
Yeah, you look at it, I mean, it's like they're plumbers, they're electricians, you know, guys that go out and do real work, and that's exactly what he wants to do real work in this game, get back to basics, and play the game where it's supposed to be played, physically and tackling, running the ball.
Throw over the middle, on time, on target. Gary Gibbons III, the Valparaiso transfer, moves the sticks.
Great protection by the offensive line, giving Davidson enough time to go through the second and third reads, and he was able to catch a slant going over the middle. Great catch, brings it in, keeps these sticks moving.
We've yet to see Diari Rogers, their most dangerous wide receiver, number 6 in white, be targeted by the true freshman Brady Davidson. Run it on first down. Bounce outside right. He makes the right read and doesn't get stopped until the 40-yard line.
This is simple and basic football, Doug. This is power football. You block down, pull the guard around, and then let the running back run and find a hole in between. I love the personnel package. They're running 21 personnel, 2 running backs in the backfield and a tight end in there. And all they're doing is just getting those guys, press them off the ball, running forward.
And again, Barrett, 60% of the starting offensive line for Northern Illinois came to DeKalb without scholarships. The center, the right guard, and the right tackle, Landon Roan, Abiathar Curry, and Izzy Ozo, who, by the way, has NFL scouts paying attention to him. They're part of the group leading the way for that ground game. To the air. Davidson puts some air underneath it, trying to find Givens, who couldn't quite get there. It's an incompletion.
That's an anomaly in football these days, you know, in college football these days, to have walk-ons come on, win scholarship, have guys come in and really, you know, establish themselves and stick around to be coached. Usually, you know, all right, I'm going to take my football and go somewhere else. He preaches he wants these guys to stay here, get developed, and be a Husky. I like that, you know, terminology.
Well, as an O-lineman yourself, you understand how important it is that you know what the guy on your left and the guy on your right is going to do.
It has to be symbiotic.
Davidson chased out of the pocket, dives forward, trying to get to the 37-yard line. He's going to be about a yard short. Good pursuit by Andrew Marshall. He plays the alpha position, one of the linebackers.
This is just good defense. They're trying to confuse the young quarterback. You know, we have to understand Davidson is still a freshman. He hadn't played a lot of football on this level. So, you know, he has a lot of learning, and his learning curve is going to be accelerated.
Back to the Wildcat on 4th down and 1. They converted out of this look the last time. Direct snap, right. Still on his feet, falls forward inside the 35-yard line, and the drive continues for Northern Illinois.
That was a tackle away from taking it to the house. They guessed right on this play. Blocked everybody down on a zone play, and he cuts to the backside. This is nothing but inside zone to the left, and all he is follow read down. He just kept it himself on the play.
Well, his younger teammates like to call Chavon Unk. He's got a lot of wisdom out there. Young man from Opelika, Florida. And he stays in to stay Wildcat on 1st down. Shows patience, able to get positive yardage, but Eastern Michigan stopped it after a 2-yard pickup.
Power football. Same play. They just ran the same play over again. That's the confidence you have in your offensive line, being able to move guys up front.
And now Brady Davidson, the starting quarterback, comes back in. Right to the sidelines for 2nd down and 8. This is the 11th play of this drive for Northern. Elijah Porter, number 24, a running back, is into the game for the first time. Handed off the other way, though. Lazaro Rogers, the true freshman from Fort Myers, Florida, ran for nearly 100 yards in last week's loss.
Another true freshman. That's 2 freshmen that are getting a lot of time today. You got Davidson and you got the running back. I mean, these guys showed that they need to get some reps. You know, this wasn't a knee-jerk reaction putting Davidson in as the starting quarterback. This is something he's built on and made himself a reliable starter on this Husky offense.
And the same was true for Rogers. Now right back in, the Charleston transfer. On third down, going to throw the football, trying to find a big target, but good coverage until the flag comes in.
A little holding on the play.
Yeah, George Demopoulos is a big target at 6'2". But we're going to have, it looks like, defensive pass interference.
Wouldn't let him get into his route.
Holding defense, number 17, 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic first down.
There you go, the top of the screen, tight end goes out there and he's holding him, not letting him get into the route. Lassos him around the waist.
Eastern's defense also playing without a number of key guys this afternoon due to injuries. Davidson, plenty of time, waits for the receiver Givens to come open. It's a 6-yard pickup to bring up 2nd down and 4.
The offensive line is giving Davidson plenty of time to make his reads. That was a drag route coming from the opposite side of the field that he had enough time to wait for it to develop going across.
We mentioned Roan, Curry, and Ozo, center, right guard, right tackle. We also got to say Aiden Tweedy, number 64, the left guard. And then one of their captains, the left tackle, Evan Melkor. He's the mainstay on the O-line, making his 25th consecutive start at left tackle for Coach Hammock.
Really big guy, and I like his attitude. You know, 6'6", 305, has everything you want.
One of the tone setters for sure as we head to the second quarter. Northern Illinois putting together its first sustained drive of the afternoon, yet trailing 3-0 on a beautiful day here in Ypsilanti. The Eagles and the Huskies in a key midseason matchup in the Mid-American Conference. Well, Chris Creighton was hired just days after Chuck Martin was hired at Miami. They are both in their 12th years as the longest tenured head coaches in football in the MAC. Thomas Hammock at his alma mater now for 7 years as head coach. Creighton is the second winningest coach in the 134-year history of Eastern Michigan football that stretches all the way back to 1891. And he took over a program that historically was irrelevant, and he has made them relevant every single year.
Very relevant, because he set a culture here, a culture in which these guys know that, you play for a coach like that, you're going to be disciplined, you're going to work your butt off, and those are the intangibles you need to be a successful program. That's why he has so much success in the MAC conference.
And he's brought a lot of symbolism with him. The gray turf is to represent, we'll play anywhere. We'll go out in the parking lot, and that's why they have gray turf.
That's amazing.
Along with a factory and a 51-pound wrench that's carried everywhere, never touches the ground. They use 3 hammers to break through the wall to come onto the field before every game. And so now he needs his defense to stand tall with 2nd down and 5 from the 15-yard line. Brady Davidson hands the football off to Chavon Wright. And he's finally wrestled to the turf at the 11-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd down and less than 2.
Doug, I also appreciate, this running game of the Huskies. They got 21 personnel, 2 running backs, 1 tight end. And they're just running inside zone. Nothing special, nothing out of the way as far as being exotic. They're just, you got to beat the man in front of you. This is good old-fashioned football.
Kelly Johnson, Gary Givens, Diari Rogers go out, giving a power look here on 3rd down. Rogers gets an assist from his quarterback, Brady Davidson, to get the shoulder pads back in place. And now we're set on 3rd and less than 2. Give it to Wright, and he stumbles to the turf. Ran into a brick wall and had no hammer to break through.
I'll tell you what, you talk about a hammer. This is what you call penetration on the defense. Penetration kills all run plays. And they try to run a stretch play. They also try to run a stretch. You block down, pull the tackle around. But they got up to the field so fast that they couldn't get around. They plugged those holes. They had just the right defense in with an 8-man front going against this offense.
Well, Chavon Wright is listed at 5'8". He ran into the backside of his left tackle, Evan Melchor, who is 6'6". And so Andrew Glass boots it through. And the senior from Wheeling, West Virginia, former All-MAC kicker at Kent State, has the Huskies on the board. We're tied at 3 early in the 2nd quarter after the 30-yard boot. Welcome back to Crosby Field at Rynearson Stadium, the home of the Eagles of Eastern Michigan University, program dating back to the late 1900s. They began as the Michigan Normal College Normalites, became the Eastern Michigan Hurons in 1929, and since 1991, they've been the Eagles. A lot of history around here, and some of the best history has been over the last 12 years under Chris Creighton.
Yes, he's showing that, this is a MAC team that they want to be among the top, but it's going to take a little bit, building blocks every single week to get established like that.
Well, on that last scoring drive that amounted to a field goal for Northern Illinois, 10 plays, or rather 14 plays, 10 were runs, 4 were passes, which to me seems about right for Coach Hammock.
That's exactly what he wants. This is the perfect run-to-pass ratio that he wants to establish. Them running backs, that's what they do. They want to run the rock, so he's going to make sure that they do.
Javen Norman, redshirt freshman from Springfield, Ohio, known as Bebe, stands and awaits the kick. It is a returnable kick that comes down at about the 11, and Bebe gets drilled. Absolutely leveled. Tremendous coverage getting downfield to make that stop.
That was perfect. Great hit. He just ran through his blocker to make the textbook right there. You want guys covering kicks like that, You don't get a lot of chance to have opportunity to be on defense or offense. Make your play in special teams. Give yourself an opportunity to just get on the field. It becomes contagious. Next thing you know, you will be on the starting offense or defense.
Devin Habermel with the big tackle that helps to back up Eastern Michigan. Running the football on first down, Dante McMillan. Averaging over 6 yards per carry this season.
This offensive line, they've been through a lot. They've had guys that are hurt. Right now, the guys out right now. But this is the second week in a row they've had the same guys blocking for them up front. And I think that's going to make a difference as far as communication and just those guys knowing what to do and how to do it. They're already a senior group of guys, so they have a lot of experience. It's just playing together.
Kim Poles, tackle at the 30-yard line after a 2-yard gain for first down.
The elusive quickness of Kim. He would prefer to throw the ball, but he doesn't mind running it either.
Well, you mentioned the big guys up front for Eastern. Mickey Revelinski, the starting right guard, number 63, is the tone setter. They're making do without their starting right tackle, Doji Dawe, out with an injury suffered a couple of weeks ago. A design run, and it's blown up. Great positioning by Jelani Williams, who made Kim go the other way, and he lost his footing and went down for a loss.
Yeah, you look at Williams, he pressed the pocket. Tackle didn't get on him. You got to jump set him. You got to get on him faster when you're an offensive tackle. That way you don't collapse the pocket like that. Quarterbacks hate that. They'd rather get rushed from the outside to get pressed in the inside because they can't see. These guys are already taller than they are, and when the pressure comes from the inside and where you got pushed back like that, it's really hard to make a decision.
A 6-yard loss. Mark Hensley, one of the defensive tackles, number 10 in white. He is a real playmaker. Deshaun Dixon, the Albany transfer as well, trying to plug things up inside. Kim sets up the screen. Northern Illinois' defense not fooled at all.
Good defense. They stayed at home on this play. They realized, something wasn't good, so they made sure they read their keys and made the play on the screen.
Yeah, I tell you, Mark Hensley has shown quick feet, quick hands, great instincts. That's a defensive tackle making that play.
Absolutely. Great change direction. Saw a rat in that play. Guy stopped rushing, so he turns around and makes the play on the outside.
Well, Hensley's majoring in human biology. He wants to be a physician. Kim fires to the far sideline, right on the money, out of bounds at about the 37-yard line.
That's one of Kim's strengths. He's a very accurate quarterback, and he catches right on the comeback for the catch.
That was Porter Rooks on the receiving end. Porter's his middle name, Daniel Porter Rooks, out of Myers Park High School in Charlotte. And so now 4th down and 4. Will bring Tomasek, the all-conference punter, back out. And Tomasek has been constantly working on ways to improve an already impressive punting resume, whether it's a shorter first step, adding flexibility, the low line drive taken on a bounce. Diari Rogers works his way to the 32-yard line, which will take us to break.
Timeout on the field.
A defensive struggle so far. Chris Creighton's team looking to get back into the win column, all tied up at 3 in the second quarter. Three second quarter, Eastern Michigan, Northern Illinois. The defenses have been in control so far. Tackling has been a problem this year for Eastern Michigan. Their head coach, Chris Creighton, has used words like horrendous. Although we asked him earlier this week, he says it's getting better, and he says they are practicing tackling without tackling.
Yeah, you know, it's almost like two-hand touch, but you got to be in a position to really tackle. You know, you can't just come up and play, all right, tag, you're it. You've got to get your butt down, you got to get your legs down, and getting a tackling position, and then put your hands on there in order to show, yes, coach, I would have had this tackle. Two-hand touch just doesn't make it. You don't want those habits to go into the game.
Why can't you practice tackling the old-fashioned way?
Not a level of bodies, number one. They don't have as many guys on their teams as they used to. You know, when I played back in 1990, 94, you had a lot of guys. You had about 105 people on the squad. These days, they don't have that. Scholarships went down a little bit. So because of that, you got to have a lot of good on good, and you can't bring guys down to the ground. Too many injuries, too many guys hurt, so it's really hard to sustain a team and go out and tackle like that during practice.
We saw Chavon Wright with the 2-yard pickup on first down, and Jalen Macon, the second-string quarterback, is in for the first time. He's the change of pace running quarterback, and he's going to run here. Tall, long, athletic, and he is chopped to the ground after a short gain. Juan Solis comes up from his free safety position to make the tackle.
Yeah, he can run a little bit, you know, so what you have to do, get him out on these read options. Hand the ball off, read the end. If he doesn't close down, then you give it to the running back. But if the end closes down, then he's going to pull it and take to the outside like he just did.
Macon's a redshirt junior, transfer from Arkansas Pine Bluff. Trying to convert for the first time on third down. He's going to run for it. The Huskies were 0 for 4, and it's going to be close, just depending on the situation is. They've gotten their first third down conversion of the day.
There you go. And that was just plain old QB power. You know, QB power means he turns around, the backside guard pulls, they double team the front side, and he just finds a hole to run through. 9 times out of 10, those plays cut actually not front side, but behind the center on the backside, and that's exactly what just happened just then to get the first down.
Two-back offense once again. Keep it on the ground to the true freshman Lazaro Rogers. He was a high 3-star recruit out of East Lee County High School in Florida and was the highest rated member of NIU's freshman class. He had offers from USF, from Coastal Carolina and other schools, but instead chose to go to DeKalb for an opportunity to play as a true freshman.
Why wouldn't you want to come for a head coach that used to be a running back who understands what you want as a player? They want to run the ball here. Why not come to a place where they run the ball?
Yeah, Thomas Hammock, when he was a Husky, 2 different seasons, ran for more than 1,000 yards.
He'll tell you about it, too.
Macon gives to Telly Johnson Jr., who turns the corner with plenty of room to run inside the 40-yard line, bulls his way toward the 30, and gets inside the 30 using speed and power to get there.
Big back, you know, and you want to have a guy that's going to run in between the tackles. You watch this play, they go down and that tackle comes around, but he just outruns the blocking scheme, gets on the outside, and really gets in a position where he can take it for a big play.
28 yards for the sophomore out of Hephzibah High School in Augusta, Georgia.
This is the war of attrition, Doug, the war of attrition. Can you hold up as a defensive line?
Macon stays in at quarterback. Well, you can see at 6'5", 230 pounds, he is a load to bring down.
Yes, he is. He's not afraid of sticking his head in there and going to making a play. Sometimes you want a tempo changer and have him come in and run the rock. You don't necessarily want Davidson to go out there and take the pounding of running the ball like that. That's why you have 2 quarterbacks that can come in and run those read options and RPOs.
And he had a late start to his season after being injured during camp. Goes by the nickname Chance. Chance hands it off. Telly Johnson able to make the first man miss, but eventually swarmed. After a gain of 1, it'll be 3rd and short.
I call that 3rd and manageable because now you're in a position where you can kind of open up your playbook. You can take a shot this play, go down the field a little bit because, you're in the red zone, and this will be the perfect position in which you can take a shot down the field because you can ultimately kick the field goal. So why not go and take a shot down the field for a touchdown?
After time allowed for the defense to make its substitution, 3rd down and 1 for Jalen Macon. And Eastern Michigan was waiting there for him. Contact made long before the line of scrimmage to bring up 4th down and 3.
Penetration kills all run plays. And on this play, that's exactly what happened. They got up the field. They filled the gaps. They just shot the gaps on this play. They had every gap closed. And then, you as an offense, you really don't have anywhere to go. There's a guy sitting in the gap everywhere he needed to go. They finally get up the field, especially on the backside, and created a play.
Well, no surprise with Jalen Macon in on that drive. They did not throw the football. 8 plays, all running plays, as Andrew Glass back out there. His field goal attempt is no good. Just his 2nd miss of the season, and it keeps our score tied at 3. 5:21 remaining in the first half. They say the Mac's a bloodbath. We've got one here. With Barrett Brooks, I'm Doug Sherman, back at the factory here in Ypsilanti, Michigan. A missed field goal by Andrew Glass keeps our score tied at 3 apiece. Well, we have gotten to the midpoint of the regular season. Every game counts. The big game this week nationally for the MAC. Toledo has a 21-7 lead as they head to the third quarter at Bowling Green. And we've got another defensive struggle that's underway at Akron. It's 3-0 Miami over the Zips as they play the third quarter. This kind of game is shaping up that way as well.
Absolutely. You have two teams that pretty much evenly matched. So, it's going to take coaching. Who's going to have the better coaching? Who's going to stick with the run? Who's going to go with what they do best?
Well, this game is kind of shaping up for Northern Illinois as we've got a big play on first down out across the 35-yard line. Tackled by Quinn Erweiler, just second tackle of the afternoon.
Yeah, they kept him off the books, just by throwing the ball on the outside.
That's Jamarian Wheeler with his first catch.
Doug, that's what they want to do. They want to use Kim as a passer, not as a runner, but as a passer. And he's very adept at getting the ball out. He has a quick release. And, that's what he does. He's so accurate in where he throws. He makes great decisions. So take advantage of his skill set.
Joey Mattard, the running back, getting more reps today with the injury to Tavier Dunlap. Straight ahead for a big gain to the 50-yard line.
And there they are getting this Husky defense out of sorts by not allowing them to blitz. You got to make them play straight up, and then you can pick a hole when you do choose to run up the field.
Young man from tiny Heartland, Michigan, a town of fewer than 800. They fake the handoff to him. Kim shows the running ability, keeps the football to the 41-yard line.
He is really a threat. He's a lot faster than what people give him credit for. And because, he's not as big as usually quarterbacks are as far as, size-wise. He's a skinnier guy, skinny frame guy. But don't let the smooth taste fool you. He's stronger than what you see. And he can really, pick him up and put him down and get to the outside and may even give you a smack when you try to tackle him.
Freakishly strong was the expression they used this week in our coaches meeting about him. Don't be fooled. Prosper, the motion man. Kim looking that way, fakes it, now going to roll right. Eyes downfield, fires down the right sideline, and it's out of bounds. He had number 9 on number 9. Porter Rooks unable to stay in bounds. Devian Reynolds was in coverage.
That was a good decision by Kim. Wasn't really, open on the outside. They ran some dig routes across the field, and the linebackers played great. They got their depth. We're in the passing lane, so, you got to make a decision. Do you want to try to force it and, probably create a turnover, or just throw it away like he did? And that was a good decision for him to throw it away.
Well, defensively, Northern Illinois likes to call itself the no-fly zone, allowing just 171 yards passing per game this season. On third and short, run it up the middle. James Jointer, again, the senior from Little Rock, Arkansas, trying to get those tough yards.
I want to see how they're going to open this offense up a little bit. Give Kim the autonomy to go down the field. Call some deeper passing routes, because right now his offensive line is playing well enough that they can give him a little time. They're holding their own against their front of the Huskies.
He came up about a foot short, and so fourth down and less than 1. Thomas Hammock's defense trying to come up with a big stop. Jointer straight up the middle again, lowers his shoulder, and he will get the first down.
Another good read by Kim. And, people talk about passing games. That's when you have, the ability to make good decisions. Well, that's a good decision by him. The handing the ball off. The end didn't close down, so give him an opportunity to hand it to the running back, and he can take it up into the line of scrimmage. Great decision by Kim on that.
And now after that first down carry, Jointer is replaced by the starting running back, Dante McMillan, more than 2,000 career rushing yards. Handed off to him. Off left tackle. Another pickup of positive yardage on first down for number 28.
And he just picks his hole, inside zone. He picks his hole on the backside.
Timeout on the field. This is a 2-minute timeout. It'll be a full media timeout.
Timeout called with 2 minutes remaining in the half. will take it with them on the official TO, tied at 3. The Eagles. Coming up at halftime, you're not going to want to miss the Week 6 MAC top plays. We'll run down the top 10 along with the first half highlights and statistics with Barrett Brooks. I'm Doug Sherman. Chris Creighton, the head coach at Eastern, said every year he wants about a 50-50 run-pass split, not on a week-to-week basis, but at the end of the season. Now, he's getting that split very evenly so far here today, and he's basically on pace for the year to do what he wants.
And that gives you, a chance for your offense to really be, you can't guess what they're going to do. You have to guess what they're going to do. I'm sorry. You have to guess what they have to do. They're not going to be locked into just running the ball or locked into just passing the ball. It keeps defenses on their toes with the ability to, all right, you're going to run the play on this play? No, we're going to pass over the top on this play. It gives you some shot plays. All these things are done because Coach Creighton believes in that being even going into games.
Well, so far today, Eastern has run it 15 times, thrown it 14 times. And now they've got second down and short. Noah Kim looking into the sun here at Rynearson Stadium. Flushed out of the pocket by Williams. Lost it and throws it away down the sideline to bring up third down and manageable.
Good coverage on the back end by this Husky defense. They ran man-to-man, and they ran with him throughout the entire route. Even in the scramble drill, when Kim got on the outside, they were able to stay with their receivers, not giving them an opportunity to push the ball down the field. That's just good defense on the tail end, and then they eventually got the pass rush to go on the defensive line.
Well, Kim leads the MAC in passing yards this year, also in completion percentage. Got to get to the 29-yard line. Kim under pressure, finally throws it low, trying to find the tight end Joshua Long, and that'll bring up a decision on fourth down.
Yeah, and this isn't bad by the offensive line. They gave him enough time to go through his reads. You can't block forever. Those guys on the other side of the ball, there's some players also. So he had enough time. Nothing really opened up. So a good decision by him to just throw it away.
So we're going to have a 49-yard field goal attempt by Rudy Kessinger. He had a long of 50 at Kentucky earlier this year. And the redshirt freshman from Columbus. Does he have the distance? Indeed he does. Impressive off the right foot of Kessinger as Eastern Michigan takes a 6-3 lead. Another sustained scoring drive for CC Chris Creighton. Eagles up by 3. Back in Ypsilanti, Michigan, the home of the Eastern Michigan Eagles, and the home team has taken a 6-3 lead. And this is the kind of game that we have become accustomed to of the Huskies playing this year. They had a tough, hard-fought loss on September 27th to San Diego State by the same final score of 6-3. They want to keep it close, and on the road, keep it close and win it in the end.
Yeah, you know, they love the war of attrition. They love to go out and get the time of possession. They love to go out and play physical brand of football. They don't want to air it out. They just want to keep the ball on the ground, pound you, play physical football.
And they will get the football back as Nathan Dybert, a senior kickoff specialist and former LSU Tiger, kicks it into the end zone. And so now the Huskies, whose last drive ended in a missed field goal, will bring the offense back out under the direction of their true freshman quarterback, Brady Davidson, out of Rockbridge High School. Last week in his debut as a college starter, 47% of his passes completed, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He showed flashes, finished with 121 yards passing. In the first half, he looked, to me, more comfortable than as the game went on. It wasn't as good. He's still got a lot to learn, but he's got a lot of upside.
Yeah, he does, you know, but this is going to take time. It's going to take experience. And that's the only thing he lacks right now. He has everything else, all the intangibles. Experience is the only thing he doesn't have.
Finds the man with the best hands out of the receiving corps, Jake Applegate, who takes a pop. He was a Scott Frost recruit to Nebraska, and with the coaching change, Applegate wound up transferring to Northern Illinois.
You know, we talked about him and his ability to catch the ball. I mean, when you have a tight end, you know, tight ends is a quarterback's best friend. Tight ends, you know, are in the middle of the field, catching those, you know, usually bailing them out.
Throwing the football away. Good coverage downfield by Eastern Michigan. Good pursuit up front.
Great run calls. I mean, great blitz on a play. They guess right. They bring a defender in the interior and on the outside, able to heat Davidson up a little bit.
3rd down and 4. Let's see if they come after him again. They motion Rogers to the left side of the formation. Davidson throws it down the middle. He's got a man, but just out of the reach of the diving Gary Gibbons III.
Just out of the reach. Just a little less on it. It had been a big-time play, but the offensive line gave him time. You know, they specialize in run blocking. Well, this time, great passing play. See, in the NFL, if it touches your hands, it's supposed to be a catch. He's not NFL, you know, he's right now, he's where he's supposed to be. But, I mean, might have should have dove for it a little bit, you know, but that's hard, you know. A young quarterback. Take a little bit off of it.
And so Danny Vukovic will punt it from his own 20. Fair catch called for by Solis, who lets it land at the 30. And it is downed at the 32-yard line. 50 seconds remaining in the first half. And let's see what Eastern Michigan does in its presumably final drive of the first half. Do you try and air it out, get yourself at least 3 points out of this drive, or you play it conservatively?
I think that's what they want to do anyways. They need to air it out. They tried to run the ball consistently, you know, trying to just give them a little bit of the run, but I think their best situations for them to allow Noah Kim to push the ball down the field, make the correct reads, get the ball on the outside to his weapons.
Young man who originally committed to Virginia Tech, wound up flipping to Michigan State. Now at his 3rd stop, voted a captain as a first-year Eagle. To the air he goes under some pressure. Had to get rid of the football before he wanted to and couldn't step into it with Benson Prosper, his intended target.
Yeah, on that play, you know, when he at the release of the ball, he hit his hand on either the offensive lineman's helmet or the defensive lineman's helmet, and it's his passing hand. So we need to take a look at that, you know, make sure his hand is all right. He's looked at it a couple of times, you know, so we'll see as the game goes on if it has any effect on him throwing the ball.
45 seconds to go in the second quarter. Kim swings it to Dante McMillan. Forced out of bounds across the 35. Clock stops with 39 to play in the half.
They want to throw the ball down the field, but right now, the defense of the Huskies, they're playing man-to-man, and they're able to run with them.
Kim flushed, eyes still downfield, throws across the middle, had a man, but it's dropped. Would have been a tough catch to make. Porter Rooks could not haul it in.
Yeah, and they played matchup zone that time. They set back instead of going man-to-man, and it kind of confused Kim. I'm kind of shocked with that on the play. Almost is not close enough right now.
So now the Mac's leading punter, Mitchell Tomasak, will come in. He's number 1 in Eastern Michigan history with a 44.2 career average.
Both teams are going after punts.
Rogers tripped up at the 15-yard line. Great job by the gunner, Nick Devereaux, getting down to make the tackle after the 48-yard punt.
Great play by the gunner. Gets out on the outside, gets him by shoestring tackle. That's just running. Just hits his legs to undercut him. Great play by a gunner.
Well, Devereaux has made himself a player in this program after starting at Division II Davenport University, now in his 4th year with the Eagles. Last couple of years, after having really not played much football through high school, played special teams primarily like we just saw the last 2 years, and now he is their primary deep threat on offense as a wide receiver, but still playing that role in special teams.
Super quick, too, super fast.
Chavon Wright takes some punishment, able to pick up 10 yards for a first down to move the chains. Clock stops for the moment at 14 seconds. Hurry up by the Huskies. Davidson fires it over the middle, and it's intercepted. Solis has it inside the 30, out of bounds at the 20. There's a flag down, and when he stepped out, there was still 1 second left on the clock. Juan Solis, the junior from East Vale, California, with the takeaway.
Davidson just wanted to make a play. That's just being young, making a mistake, throwing in the middle of coverage.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 22, 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So if you're Juan Solis, do you go up to your teammate Tyrell Diener and say, come on, man?
Right. 2 seconds on the game clock.
You took away my interception. All these things count.
So the penalty on Tyrell Diener keeps the football in the hands of the Huskies with 2 seconds on the clock. Telly Johnson Jr., one of the other running backs, comes in to replace Chavon Wright for presumably the final play of this first half. Barring a penalty, it will be.
Prevent defense.
Give it to Johnson. And that'll do it for the first half of football. Kind of what we were expecting, Barrett. A tight football game.
Tight football game. Guys, 2 Titans right now going at it. One wants to run the ball, one wants to pass the ball. The war of attrition going on. Who's going to make it happen? We'll see in this next order. Who's going to be the best coach team, make the least amount of mistakes.
Stay with us. Our halftime report coming up next from Ypsilanti. Eastern Michigan 6, Northern Illinois 3. We are at halftime. With Barrett Brooks, I'm Doug Sherman. A clean first half. Only 2 penalties called. The Eagles called for both of them. NIU clean. Some of the other stats, anything jumping at you there?
Yeah, if you look at this, it looks like this is a Northern Illinois-based game. You know, run the ball, control the time of possession. You look at the rushing yardage, but then you look at the Eagles' offense. They've done a little more as far as passing yardage, but, you know, it's very even, you know, when you look at it.
We'll take another break with the marching band on the field here at the Factory. The home team up by a field goal at the intermission. We're back at halftime at the Factory with Eastern Michigan taking on Northern Illinois. He's Barrett Brooks. I'm Doug Sherman. We've got the top 10 plays from the MAC from last week. And I saw them earlier. There are no offensive linemen. I don't understand.
But it's explosive plays in the MAC. You know, look how they throw the ball. But the big thing is they are power running also.
Mid-season form. Let's take a look at the top 10.
First down at the 45. They'll take a shot. Devereaux out there makes the catch. Touchdown, Eastern Michigan.
Now. And Navarro looks right, comes back left. up in the air, snatched by Rodney Harris. Score. And he's in. Well, we mentioned at the beginning of this drive how if you looked at the stats, it was a 21-0 game, but because of the execution and the way the defense has played.
Let's see how he handles these opening few plays. They opt to run it, and a big hole opens up. Biggest of the season on their opening offensive play for a touchdown.
Wants to put it up. Finley's going to throw that fade to the corner. It is caught. Redshirt freshman.
Beautiful job by Finley, just throwing the fade route, and you see Mason make the adjustment.
At number 1. Kelly all the way, up the middle, inside the 5. Rolling, and Kelly powers his way in for the touchdown. I mean, that's exactly why. Watch Kelly come back, puts his foot in the ground. From there on, he is gone.
And off again, Devin Miles shaking the outside. Inside the 10, he broke 1 and 2 and 3. He is in! Touchdown, Western!
You're going to watch him get on the edge. And I talked about the job, the receivers. Watch your freshman Chenault right there blocking, doing a nice job against number 1, Malcolm Green. And then Miles, look at it, he just finished.
Good snap, placement down, kick on the way, has enough leg.
Do you know how many things have to go right in order?
They get a big boot here out of his own end zone. It was blocked. Safety as it goes out of the back of the end zone.
Snow in motion near side. They're looking his direction. Makes the catch. Trying to sidewind his way to freedom. Does. Inside the 5. Victor Snow to the end zone.
To his left, it was man-to-man and tackling once again. Eastern Michigan missed 3 tackles.
Kelly looking left all the way. How about Magwood? He's got it! Keon Magwood is going to score and give Ball State its first lead of the day. If you don't believe in momentum being a real thing in football, how do you explain what's happened, especially in this second half of this game that was so lopsided?
with the Incarnati Athletic Center in the background. We are back at Rynearson Stadium. A lot of names for this place. The Factory,
yes.
Crosby Field. Glad to be here. Along with Barrett Brooks, I'm Doug Sherman. 6-3 Eastern over Northern. Let's take a look at the highlights as they were from that first half.
Yeah, you look at the highlights, man. It's not a lot going on. This is a defensive battle, but then Noah Kim gets out on an out route, delivers a very catchable ball. Then they kick a field goal. I think that's the running theme right now, considering the fact that two tough defenses are playing very, very well. And here it is right now. You run the ball successfully. You can run things like boot protection. This is a boot, gets it out to your running back, and just as good as he can run, he can take it out the backfield. And what does this do? It leads to what? Another field goal. And then just to top it off, with the war of attrition and two guys just beating up on each other, just a heavyweight fight, you get another field goal, to make the score 6-3 with EMU in the lead.
A missed field goal is the difference right now as we head to the third quarter. The Eagles and the Huskies will return to the field in just a moment. We'll have the third quarter for you right after this. Welcome back to Eastern Michigan University. We are in the Mike and Linda Morris press box. We appreciate the money they shelled out so you and I can have such nice accommodations. I don't know if they can see us waving up here, but we're having a great time as we get ready for the third quarter. Coming into the week, Buffalo, Western Michigan, Ball State, and Miami, the four teams that have yet to taste defeat. Coming up at 3:30, Ball State plays Western Michigan in a key matchup. Miami is leading Akron 17-0 early in the fourth quarter. And you've got to keep your eye always on Toledo. The Rockets lead Bowling Green late in the third quarter, 21-14. On the other side of the page, you see Northern Illinois and Eastern Michigan, our two teams coming in looking to try and get momentum. There's plenty of meat left on the bone, and Coach Creighton said he forecasts at least one 2-loss team will make the MAC championship game. They've got an opportunity to start their comeback here for the second half in this ball game, both of these teams.
Yes, and you look at this conference. I mean, everything is so clustered because they got to start picking each other off. They're going to play more and more conference games, and then they're going to pick each other off. And eventually, you know, when you do get to the MAC championship, it might be a 2-loss team because of the parity that's involved in this conference.
Buffalo has the week off, so will remain unbeaten. There are our two head coaches, Thomas Hammock on the left. Chris Creighton, you see the CC on his shirt there. That again is something they do once a year. They're work shirts, and each of the coaches, every member of the staff has their nickname on their work shirt, and it symbolizes going to work. Roll up your sleeves, let's get it done.
Let's go, like plumbers and electricians and, you know, men that go out there and make their money. These guys are making their money as coaches and trying to instill that toughness on their team.
Tip our cap, tip our hard hat to guys like Pike, Bull City, Big O, Beef.
Beef.
That's Needham, the defensive coordinator.
Love it, Beef.
Always enjoy talking to the coordinators in our coaching meetings. And Ben Needham, in his third year as defensive coordinator, always a lot of fun. He's a former offensive lineman like my partner. And we are underway. On the kick return, Devion Reynolds spins his way across the 25-yard line. And the offense for Northern Illinois will come back onto the field. So what do you see in this third and fourth quarter? Do you imagine either side will be able to open it up, or is it going to go right down to the end in a bare-knuckle brawl?
You know Coach Hammock is going to continue to run the ball, try to open up, and then get a shot play over the top. I think they're going to start on the opposite side. The Eagles are going to try to open it up a little bit. You know, they're going to give Noah Kim a chance to push the ball down the field, use his athleticism, and you know, on plays in which the pocket breaks down. And I think that'll be a better way to run their offense.
Two true freshmen in the backfield. The running back, Lazaro Rogers, the quarterback, Brady Davidson. And Rogers wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage. A big play to start this third quarter, and a tackle for loss for Quincy Bias, another true freshman and one of the rising playmakers on D for Eastern.
Have him right around there in the pocket, you know, in the middle of that defense. Send him on a blitz. Supposed to be a run blitz, and it worked out pretty good for him. Ran the gap. Great play by the young freshman.
Yeah, Bias was offered by Michigan, Indiana, Ivy League schools. He was the highest, or rather third highest rated recruit in this year's recruiting class for the Eagles. On second and long, Davidson throws a spiral to the far sideline. Incomplete. That'll bring up third down and long.
Oh, Applegate, you know, tight end just couldn't turn his hips fast enough, flip his hips. I'm sorry, it wasn't Applegate, but the receiver just couldn't flip his hips fast enough. Bond, and, you know, we get a chance to get on the ball. I think they wanted to throw a behind-the-shoulder pass, but couldn't turn around fast enough to receive the ball.
Well, that was Andrew Bond making his first appearance as a collegiate football player. This is third stop. He was a sprinter out of high school and is the fastest man on this team. He ran at Nebraska, he ran at South Carolina, now playing football for Northern Illinois. And on third and long, pass completed to Dariari Rogers. Dariari was helped off the field late last week, wasn't able to put any weight on his left foot, but he was able to practice normally this week. We just have not called his name yet today.
Absolutely. You know, look at this. Silas goes up and makes a great open field tackle, stops the runner. It could have potentially been a first down if he broke free.
And instead, it's Danny Vukovic, the redshirt sophomore punter from Kildare, Illinois, at his own 18-yard line. Low end over end punt. Salas lets it land, and it'll come to rest at the 26-yard line. So the Eastern Michigan defense gets off the field to begin this third quarter, and let's see if indeed the Eagles try to open it up on the offensive end when we come back. Eastern 6, Northern 3. First-year defensive coordinator for Northern Illinois, Rob Harley, is an Illinois native from Chicagoland. Glad to be back in nearby DeKalb as the first-year DC. And he wants to bring the heat. That's his motto, and so far so good this season. They have done a lot of that.
Bringing the heat. They've only scored 6 points. EMU has only scored 6 points. And look at the fire on his hat. That's bringing the heat. And he wants his defense to do the same thing. And they're showing that ability right now. They're trying to heat this offense up, but Kim has got to stay away from the fire.
Had a nice chat with Harley before the game. He was a reserve safety on the 2002 National Championship Ohio State Buckeyes. His defense on the field trying to slow down Eastern Michigan. Nice job by his safety, Jasper Beeler, to come up and make the tackle. But not before a 6-yard pickup on first down. There are the numbers on Noah Kim in his graduate year at Eastern Michigan. Transfer in from Coastal Carolina. Dante McMillan lowers his shoulder, bowls ahead for a first down.
Dante gets on the outside. They're trying to get away from that blitz that's in the middle of the defense. And what do? You get a little toss to the outside and have them outrun the defenders that are all clamped up on the inside. Well, trying to get an edge.
McMillan waited his turnaround here. He was a reserve a couple of years ago behind Samson Evans, the all-time program leader in touchdowns, and Jalen Jackson. But he emerged last year and has really taken a starring role this year. Now he goes out into the pattern on a crossing route. It's one of the wide receivers coming up and making the catch. Porter Rooks, the grad transfer out of Charlotte.
Really good defense on the outside. A little drag right across, and the DB came down and made the play on him. Tackling was a big issue for both teams early in the season. But I think they kind of settled down now and doing a pretty good job at it.
Yeah, that was Jasper Beeler again with his second tackle of this defensive drive. Held it to a 2-yard gain. Second down and 8. Alvin Gully, the former Yale Bulldog, backup defensive tackle number 0, in on that tackle. As James Jointer had nowhere to go, and now we've got an injured Husky holding that right shoulder. There's big number 0, 6 feet, 302 pounds. two-time honorable mention All-Ivy League at Yale.
Yeah, you know, you stretching that O out a little bit, huh? That zero out a little bit. You know, it just goes, you know, these are really two defenses that are finding their way midway through the season. Both had a problem with tackling. They fixed those problems right now, and they're playing a pretty good defensive game.
That's the linebacker, Philip Maczarowski, one of the former walk-ons, now starters and key players, able to walk off after having some attention paid to that left shoulder.
He's all over the field also. He plays the game from sideline to sideline. You can trust him going against tight ends and covering tight ends and running backs out of the backfield. Pretty good blitzer also.
The DC Rob Harley trying to get his defense off the field here on 3rd down and 6.
Let's see what Hensley's going to do. Defensive lineman.
Noah Kim checks it down, has a man at the 45-yard line out to midfield. They'll move the chains, keep the football. Benson Prosper once again on the receiving end out of Champaign Catholic High School in Florida.
Yeah, you look at the offensive line. They did a great job affording Kim the time to go out and throw a very accurate pass on the outside on the out route.
Little flip pass to the tight end Joshua Long. Flag down. Did he cross the line of scrimmage before throwing that football?
Yes, either that or illegal man down the field. You know, one of the two. You run the risk of running those zone read options like that, RPOs, and have the offensive lineman down the field, or you know, some part of your body over the line going down the field.
Illegal pass. Offense number 1. 5-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Includes loss of down. 2nd down.
You could see based on Noah Kim's reaction to the referee, Jason Perkins, he's like, me? Well, yeah, you. You've got to have some part of your body still behind the line of scrimmage, and he apparently did not. And so it's a loss of down.
And he's usually better at making better decisions like that.
Well, again, he leads the MAC in pass completion this year and in total passing yards. Came in at nearly 1,400 on the year.
After video review, the passer was not on line of scrimmage. Therefore, the down counts. 1st down at the 7-yard line.
Well, Barrett, you're right. He usually is better than that, and he was better than that. He was not across the line of scrimmage on review, so a huge change of events for Eastern Michigan.
Keeps the chains moving. Good decision by the grad quarterback.
Long motions to the top of your screen. Kim looking left. Great catch at the 30-yard line. No yards after that catch, but showing off really good hands to haul it in was Porter Rooks. Flags come down.
We had a pretty uneventful flag first half. Now we've had 3 in the second half already.
Only 2 total.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Offense, number 65. 5-yard penalty. Down.
That's the center out of Neuqua Valley High School in Illinois, Nicholas Gallegos. Yeah, only 2 total penalties in the first half, none against Northern Illinois. So pushing back 5 yards, 1st and 15. Which team will get to the end zone first? Eastern Michigan with the football and a 6-3 lead here early in the 3rd quarter. Keep it on the ground. Good pursuit to stretch it out. Maybe a pickup of 2 for James Jointer.
Great pursuit angles by this defense. Even though they had bunch to the right side, defensive defenders on the outside kept their leverage on the outside and able to come up and make a play. And there's your guy now, Philip.
Good to see Maczarowski back out there. Also Jacob Finley in pursuit. So a gain of 1, 2nd down and 14. Here comes pressure from the edge. It's picked up. Kim scrambling to the right. Has time and throws it, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Dante Harrison. A huge takeaway for this no-fly zone Northern Illinois defense. Dante Harrison, whose older brother Anton plays in the NFL for the Jaguars, but we have flags down.
Getting a little chippy out there, Doug. Getting a little chippy.
Boy, Harrison turned, saw the football coming to him, and was very opportunistic. Well, he played very well last week against Miami, Ohio. 4 tackles, couple of pass breakups. Let's see if this INT stands for this Division II transfer out of Shepherd University up from West Virginia.
I think it was saying, I think it was after the interception, but you know, it just goes, Kim wanted to be a gunslinger on that, and you know, he wanted to almost throw a back shoulder throw to his receiver, but his receiver didn't see the ball. The defender turned around at the last second and found it and was able to intercept the ball. When you run a scramble drill like that, it's usually best practice to come back to the quarterback as opposed to running away from the quarterback.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, Eastern Michigan, number 9, and Northern Illinois, number 3. Those fouls offset. It's each player's first unsportsmanlike conduct of the game. Result of the play, first down.
That's Porter Rooks and Jacob Finley with offsetting penalties. So the INT by Dante Harrison stands. It's a huge play here in the third quarter for this Huskies defense.
That's what you need right now. They were showing consistently moving the ball down the field. You needed a big play to maybe change the outcome of this game. That might be it to get this offense going for the Huskies.
The quarterback is Brady Davidson, Lazarus Rogers, Telly Johnson Jr., the 2 running backs. Pressure on the edge. They run it up the middle. It's a gain of 3 for Lazarus Rogers.
They're going to stick to their game plan. Run in between the tackles. Offensive line trying to oppose their will on this defense.
Zach Mochan, the leader of the linebackers for Eastern, number 11 in green. He's been playing through injury this year. Pass caught by Johnson, and he is dropped at about the 25-yard line. But I like the ball skills by Brady Davidson.
Yeah, you know, he comes out of the boot, turns around, catches the ball, but then to come up and make a play like that against a bigger guy. Joshua Scott made a play.
He is the leader of the secondary, and this defense needs to make a big play. Not there, though. The fire hydrant of a running back, Shavon Wright, chewing up yardage.
Running out inside zone. He's able to come back, get the ball going north and south, and just hard running after that. Keeping them tree trunks rolling.
He has gained over 5,000 yards rushing in his career, but in transferring up from Division II, he has sacrificed some of his numbers to try and win at the Division I level. Davidson down the sideline. Johnson was all alone, but the pass was overthrown.
You got to keep running. Even though you're a running back, if you're a receiver, you've got to keep running on the play. And he turned around not thinking he was going to get a play, but Davidson was going to give him a shot on the wheel route.
Well, Telly Johnson Jr. is their second leading receiver on the year. They've only completed 6 passes today. 2 to Gibbons, 1 to Johnson, 1 to Applegate, and 1 to Diari Rogers.
Typical Husky offense.
2nd and 10. The freshman Rogers tackled after a gain of 2. Coming up to make the stop once again, the freshman Quincy Bias out of DeSmet Jesuit in St. Louis.
There we go.
Your neck of the woods.
My hometown.
Hey, how about this? Apparently you almost signed with Northern Illinois coming out of high school.
In fact, this is the only camp that I went to was the Northern Illinois camp, and I was going to come here, but Kansas State came in at the last minute, swooped me off my feet.
and made you an offensive lineman. Forget about catching the football. You got a bigger future as a tackle, and it worked out pretty well.
12 years, yes. Pretty well.
12 in the NFL. Wright lost his footing. A loss of a yard, and that'll bring up 4th down and 9.
Yeah, they were running all kind of misdirection and getting guys going different ways, and he couldn't keep his feet centered on the ground. If he'd have kept his feet on the ground and was able to cut it back and make it back to that backside, he might have bumped his head on the goalpost because it was free sailing. Free sailing. They blitzed. They brought everybody on the blitz, and there was nobody else out there.
Jack Ferentz, the backup punter, sends Solis flying to the far sideline. He lets it bounce out of bounds at the 20-yard line. And so the interception by Noah Kim does not result in points for Northern Illinois. The Eagles offense coming back out to look to build on their 6-3 lead.
Unlock more sports for one unbeatable price. Get unrivaled coverage all year long. Introducing the new ESPN Fox One bundle.
Looks like a pretty good price to me, $40 for that collaboration, getting Fox and ESPN all in one place. And we're glad you found us here today on ESPN Plus. It's some action on a Saturday afternoon in mid-October. Low 60s, feels like football weather.
Great football weather. You're not even really sweating. I'm not sweating, man. I'm good right now. Feels good out here.
It does. Good crowd on hand for this mid-season game between Eastern Michigan and Northern Illinois. And now the Eagles, after turning the football over, get it back thanks to their defense. And now let's see what Noah Kim, one of the captains, will do, handing it off on first down.
This game is turning into a slugfight. The trenches are definitely heating up right now. I mean, you're looking at that offensive line, trying to push back the defensive line. They're trying to stay on the same level. This is what football is all about for me, especially me being an offensive lineman and loving the trenches. Trench warfare is where it's at. I know everybody wants a lot of scoring and a lot of, receivers that are catching bombs, but I love this. Look at this. I mean, tempers flaring, getting a little chippy. Football, baby, football.
Says the former Super Bowl champion, longtime Philadelphia Eagle, Pittsburgh Steeler, Detroit Lion. There's the footwork and the speed we've talked about from Noah Kim.
Maybe they need to use that a little more to open up the offense. I know they want to rely on his arm. He's really good. And, talking to the head coach, Brian said that, yes, we love his ability to be an athlete and run around. We want to keep him safe also. We don't want to do it too much.
That brings up 3rd down and 7 yards to go for Chris Creighton's Eagles. Plenty of time on the play clock for a different call coming from the sideline. So now Prosper and Long, the receiver and the tight end, switch positions. And Kim finds Devereaux. Immediately stopped at the 30-yard line to bring up 4th down.
The chess match right now between these two teams on the defense and offensive line. You know, you see the offensive line pointing. You know, they're pointing because they're trying to figure out who the back is. And as soon as they finish pointing, the defense turns around and moves and slides over to another place. This is a cat and mouse game on who's going to win the number count and who's going to be where they're supposed to be. Can you block him? Oh, no, when he goes over here, he's no longer in our number count. I love, you know, the different aspects of watching this game, and especially in the trenches.
Diari Rogers signals for a fair catch. It's made at the 19-yard line.
That was really close. That almost got blocked.
Media timeout.
With our media timeout, we'll take a break after a beautiful 51-yard punt. Northern Illinois looking to snap a 4-game losing streak. They haven't tasted victory since week 1, an August 30th home game against Holy Cross of the FCS. They lost at Maryland, lost at Mississippi State. Really tough loss a couple of weeks ago at home to San Diego State 6-3 in a game very similar to this one. And then in homecoming last week, lost to Miami 25-14 despite taking an early 14-0 lead, but second halves have not been the friend of NIU this year.
They got to make something happen.
They have had just the one scoring drive. Telly Johnson Jr., though, breaks free. It's a foot race to the end zone. Number 45 to the house. $80 yards for the sophomore running back from Augusta, Georgia, and he puts Northern on top.
That defense has been so disciplined for the entirety of the games, and all you need is one opportunity to get somebody outside of their gap and not getting to their gap, and this is what happened. An explosive 80-yard run. This is exactly what Northern Illinois keeps harping on. Run the ball, pound the ball, and eventually it's going to open up, and this is exactly what happened.
Well, he's got great top-end speed, so once he was in the clear, you wouldn't expect him to be caught from behind. And Andrew Glass now out of the hold of Danny Vukovic adds the point after. Our first touchdown is a big highlight, 80-yard TD run by Telly Johnson.
Yeah, you get out, and they blitzed, and when you blitz like that, everybody's up around the line of scrimmage. Once you get past that initial blitz, it's pay dirt because there's nobody at the tail end to stop them or make a tackle on the play. Great run by Telly Johnson. Him getting out, getting his shoulders turned, and then taking it north and south. Big time play, opening things up. This is exactly, Coach Hammock has been preaching this entire time. On our call, that's what he talked about. Just playing consistent Husky football.
For Telly Johnson, his previous career long was a 74-yard touchdown run week 2 at Maryland. That 80-yarder eclipses it. And now Chris Creighton's team is going to have to go back to work. Boy, Telly Johnson Jr. He was MAC Co Player of the Week last year in November with a couple of touchdowns, over 140 yards rushing against Western Michigan. The first big explosive play of the day here today. Now will the Northern Illinois defense be able to hold on to that lead? Up over 100 yards rushing for the day for Johnson. Fair catch by Javen Norman.
Good old-fashioned football, Doug. Good old-fashioned football. When I won a Super Bowl the year we won, we actually, I think it was like we ran 100 more run plays than we did passing plays. So it's something that really works, because I won a Super Bowl doing it. And it's kind of out of fashion, especially, in the MAC conference, to run the ball as consistently as these guys do. And this goes to show the war of attrition, they're winning.
Well, you've got the MAC's leader in passing yardage out there, and Noah Kim fakes the pass to McMillan, instead runs it, and he's wrapped up by Mark Hensley, redshirt sophomore defensive tackle from Labadie, Missouri.
I was just trying to catch this defense sleeping, make sure everybody was on the same page because they wanted to throw the ball, and the Huskies thought they were going to throw the ball on defense, and for him to do a little draw play.
Kim looking right the whole way. Has Devereaux, who is wrapped up. Devereaux scored his first career college touchdown last week at Buffalo. That'll bring up third down and about 2.
Maybe they get to the line and try a double move for a big play on the outside.
Well, Devereaux is their best deep threat. Number 81 at the top of your screen. Going to run for it and get that first down. Nice hole created by the big boys up front. Move the chains for Eastern Michigan.
Just move the chains. They get behind your pads. That's what you have to do as a running back. Just run behind your pads, take it up the field, and McMillan has that opportunity to make a game-breaking play also.
Now using tempo, give it right back to McMillan, using that hammer. This time, though, tackled at the line of scrimmage, Maczarowski.
Guess who? Maczarowski.
Good to see him back after that injury. Put him to the sideline earlier.
The Eagles going a little tempo offense, trying to keep the same defense on the field, make them tire them out a little bit.
Reggie Jean on the nose now. Big number 90 up front for Northern Illinois. On second down, Kim has all day. His pass maybe a little too hot off the hands of Benson Prosper.
Yeah, he put some heat on that ball. But, on the outside, he did have Devereaux on the comeback. I keep seeing a double move because they're all running, these comebacks and these slant plays. They're, just basically trying to keep the chains moving. Let's try impact play on the outside.
Eastern is 4 for 11 on third down. It's 3rd and 9. Kim fires, caught, first down.
Kim accurate in the middle of the field on the dig route.
Once again, spreading the ball around. Jamarian Wheeler this time. McMillan tries to stiff arm his way, but Jacob Finley nonetheless runs him out of bounds.
They're staying consistent, trying to bang it out with a little run and pass, trying to keep that 50-50 ratio pretty consistent, trying to catch that defense off kilter a little bit. And because they're hurrying up right now, they're keeping that defense on the field because they're not taking anybody out.
Kim whistles one down the sideline. Trying to find Wheeler once again. I'm not sure what happened, whether that was just an overthrow or did Wheeler not get out there.
I think he tripped twice on the play. Then looked at the, I'm thinking that it was a little holding, but no, he stumbled twice on the play. He stumbled there and then he stumbled again right here. It might have been still overthrown on the play. Got to keep your feet.
So now 3rd down. Kim pumps once, throws again, and again his intended target was Wheeler, and again off target with that throw.
Still getting a little chippy out there. Pushing and shoving between that defense and Kim on the play.
And so the Huskies defense will force another punt by Tomasek.
Now remember the last punt, they were very close to blocking it and they weren't even trying. So maybe they try to heat him up a little bit, or guys run a little harder, rushing, and try to block this punt.
Rogers awaits the punt from Tomasek, who gets it away. High end over end punt. And it's caught at the 3-yard line. That is why he's first team All Mid-American Conference to put Northern Illinois up against it. Great coverage on that punt by Donmiel Rogers, the fastest man on this team.
And you need guys like that to help you out when you're a punter. Nobody, is alone when they're out there. It's 10 other guys, and those 10 other guys know when you have a superstar like that you really want to make sure you can highlight him and make those type of big plays. Go down and catch it as opposed to letting it run into the end zone.
Yeah, Donmiel Rogers was a 3-star offered by Georgia Tech, Boston College, West Virginia. He runs a 4.28 40, and we saw that speed on that coverage.
Absolutely.
From their own 4-yard line, Johnson pushed back. His forward progress will be marked at the 2-yard line.
And defense, goes up in their run stop defense. They ran, we call this double eagle, or, when they line up a head up on the center and both guards, 3 guys there. And then on the outside, they still have defensive linemen on the outside. It's a 5-man front. That's how you stop the run. Make them go out and single block as opposed to allowing them to have double teams. They want a double team. They're not allowing them to double team because they have everybody covered up on the defense with the offense.
After the 2-yard loss, they are really backed up to the goal line. This is the worst starting position for either of our teams today. Keep it on the ground to Johnson. Able to get back the yardage they lost on first down to bring up 3rd and 9.
Not particularly what they want from Davidson to be backed up like that. And when you have a young guy like that, sometimes the decision makings can be hurried up when you're back that close to the end zone.
Number 42, Andrew Marshall, one of the veterans in this linebacker position, playing without Marco Paterno today. They do have Zach Mochan back, but a big opportunity for this defense. End of the 3rd quarter. Northern Illinois with a 4-point lead. This is Hall of Fame weekend at Eastern Michigan. And last night at the George Gervin Game Above Center Atrium, right next door to where we are, they inducted 5 new Hall of Famers. And each of those 5 was recognized at the end of the first quarter this afternoon. Bear Brooks, are you in the Kansas State Athletics Hall of Fame yet?
Absolutely not. In fact, I gave my Super Bowl. I think they took it down. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. No, I'm not in the Hall of Fame. No, I'm not good enough. They got Michael Bishop and guys like that out there.
Give it time. 3rd down and 9. A hole to run through for Telly Johnson Jr. He's had the one big offensive play in the game so far. That's a big one there to keep the football and move the chains.
They tell you all the time, same thing can make you laugh, make you cry. When you can get past the initial blitz and everybody up on the line of scrimmage, there's nobody else out there. So that was a game-saving tackle right there because he'd have been another 80, 90-yard run because of it.
Now he's up to 120 yards for the afternoon. Little bit of breathing room for the Huskies with their backup quarterback Jalen Macon out there for what?
Previous play was the runner down beyond the line to gain for a first down. That play is under further review.
All right, we'll check that out. We've seen Jalen Macon play one drive for Northern Illinois in the first half. He is a running quarterback. They ran it all 8 plays on that drive.
Absolutely. So, I mean, do you try to change it up a little bit? Do you take a shot play and trust his arm? I'm sure he can throw the ball pretty efficiently. But, I mean, look, once he gets past that, that's a game-saving tackle right there for him. And if he doesn't make that tackle, look, it's free sailing. There's nobody else back there.
Yeah, they wouldn't be checking to see if he got to the line to gain.
Right.
He'd have been gone.
So, I mean, it's hard. I experienced a lot of that last year with the Eagles. Everybody had to stop the run. They wanted to stop the run with Saquon Barkley. So what do? You put everybody in the box. You put every resource in the box. And when you allocate those resources in the box, once he gets past that initial onslaught of defenders, then there's nobody else to make a play. And then he's fast enough to go and bust it to the house. He had like 6 or 7 plays of 60 yards or more. So it's really easy, once you get it past there. So look, it's not a lot of, people out there, and I wouldn't say green grass. He had I guess we'll call it pavement turf out there that he just kept running.
The ruling on the field of a first down is upheld. First down, Northern Illinois.
Nonetheless, it's still a touchdown saving tackle by Tyrell Diener, but it's a first down run for Telly Johnson Jr.
And they didn't want this to be a street fight. That's why they talk about this being a parking lot, or being out there on cement or what do you call it, asphalt?
Yeah.
Because they want a street fight. They want to go out there and bang with you, So you got to make sure you stay gap control to try to stop this offense.
Johnson tackled after a 1-yard gain. Andrew Marshall once again able to penetrate. Also Carter Evans wearing that number 0 as the hard hat defender this week for Eastern Michigan.
Let me also say, I've been talking about the offensive line, but hey, these receivers out there are doing a heck of a job blocking also. They've done a great job blocking, which is allowing them to open up those big runs.
Macon flanked by the running backs Johnson and Wright. Macon going to run to the near side. Here comes Evans in pursuit. Able to tiptoe his way out at about the 17-yard line is Jalen Macon. It'll be 3rd down.
And you just talk about Evans. That's him staying on the outside and forcing the quarterback to run laterally and not let him to turn his shoulder pads and get going up the field. Great defense by them, not allowing that quarterback to turn the corner.
Carter Evans told us this week it just means a little more when he sees the Cardinal in black of Northern Illinois. When he was a kid, his older brother played for the Huskies. Now going empty with a quarterback change, Brady Davidson, the better thrower of the two. 3rd down. Davidson trying to keep the play alive and then just throws it away. It's caught, but was Jason Marshall able to keep his feet in bounds?
I couldn't see from up here.
He's trying to sell it. Well, if you're going to throw it away, you got to throw it away. This can't even be close if you're Davidson.
And I'll tell you what, if we can get another look from the start of the play, No.
Nah, he left his feet.
But he didn't have to leave the pocket. You know, he got quick feet. You know, you didn't have to leave the pocket on the play. He could have stayed in the pocket, and I think he just got, you know, nervous feet and left the pocket. They blocked for him. He just ran before he really needed to.
Jake Ferentz, his punt rolls across the 40-yard line. A little frustration shown by Juan Solis, the return man. I think he thinks he could have come up and
Immediate timeout.
grabbed that punt and made a return. We'll take a break. 12:44 left on the clock here in Ypsilanti. Thomas Hammock, the longtime head coach at Northern Illinois, is happy playing this brand of football, leading 10-6. He'd be so thrilled to head back to DeKalb with only one touchdown scored in this football game and a victory that would be one that would be their first in over a month. But this is how they play. And this is how the defense has been playing for Northern Illinois. Their first-year defensive coordinator, Rob Harley, has continued what has been kind of the style and mantra for Northern now for years.
Yeah, keep him, heated up. Keep that fire going. That's why you see it on the side of his helmet. Those guys play basic fundamental football. You just whoop the guy in front of you, and that's exactly what he coaches these guys to do.
Allowing less than 171 yards passing per game. That's 23rd in the FBS. Eastern Michigan with a big play on first down. It's Dante McMillan getting loose.
And that's what you see, a linebacker not hitting his gap right there. And I think, you look at it, you got to get to your gap. And right there, they hit the only gap that was open, and that was a great play by McMillan getting up the field.
And credit number 79, Everett Small, the backup, or the starting left tackle, excuse me.
Now starting, yes.
McMillan works his way to the 40-yard line, 4-yard gain on first down.
Picking his way, through those defenders. And these are just simple plays. These are just outside and inside zone versus a light box. And what I mean by a light box, there's only 6 defenders in the box. You have 4 defensive linemen. And now it's a 5-man box because you have 1 linebacker in the middle of the box. A 5-man, you run against those type of defenses.
Pre-snap penalty against Eastern.
False start, offense, number 17. 5-yard penalty, second down.
That's the receiver, Benson Prosper.
And you can't do that, So what do they do on the opposite side of the ball for the Eagles? They bring in 10 personnel. 1 running back, no tight ends, all receivers. And now you have to go out there. Well, they line up Long out at receiver instead of putting them in the box. Now this defense has to adjust to it.
Kim from a clean pocket with a perfect pass to the motion man. It's tight end Joshua Long. The young man from Los Angeles stands 6'5", 245 pounds, and he is a big target over the middle.
Absolutely, and they're lining him up out wide.
Playing with tempo. McMillan running right down their throat inside the 30-yard line.
They're bringing the defender out of the middle of that box so they can keep it a 5-man box. And what do you do against that? You run against that box. So with Long being out at receiver in the slot, it brings that linebacker out.
Looking to do it again, but that play is blown up. Getting off his block and making the tackle is Roy Williams III, an NFL prospect out of Crestwood, Illinois, second-team All-Conference last year.
And it shows, he keeps that outside arm open on the play, which allows him then to make a play on the outside. Tackle tried to get to the outside. What does he do? He works his way out, makes a tackle for loss. That's why NFL players are looking. Coaches are looking for him. For him to get up the field, set the edge. Great play by the defense.
He epitomizes the hard way at Northern Illinois. He could have left for the portal for higher money and a higher level. He chose to stay and finish what he started. How about Kim? Somehow staying on his feet and getting out of that would-be tackle, and he's able to get near first down yardage. And indeed, he got there to the 21-yard line.
Tough, we said in the beginning of the show. He is a lot stronger than he looks. He may look like he's skinny and frail, but he's one of the strongest pound-for-pound players on the team. A lot of grit.
Fake the toss to McMillan, instead come back the other way to his tight end Long. Lets the defender fly by, but in so doing stepped out of bounds at the 7-yard line. It's another first down, bringing up 1st and goal for Eastern Michigan.
We said earlier on that a tight end is a quarterback's best friend. Long is showing right now that, hey, a linebacker is too slow to be on me. So give the ball to me. Let me go out there and work. And he's beating the linebacker man for man for these big plays they're having on the opposite side of the ball.
That one covered 14 yards. Kim to McMillan. Met immediately and driven to the turf.
On that play, Kim, I think, made the wrong decision on the play. The end crashed down. If the end crashes down, he's crashing down to get the running back. He should have pulled it and went to the outside on that play.
Both defensive tackles, Dixon and Hensley, were there waiting for him.
Waiting for him, yes. Both teams playing with a little tempo on the offensive side of the ball.
2nd down and goal. James Jointer, the second running back out there, number 25. Lined up behind the wide receiver, Porter Rooks, to the right side. Kim looks left, now rolls left, directing traffic, throws it up, and touchdown! The Eagles take the lead. A 6-yard scoring strike to Long.
And there's a drag right across, then it's scramble mode. But then he says, throw it up to me, throw it up to me. Long throws it up. Kim throws it up to Long, comes down like he posted up a guy in the middle of the field, middle of the basketball court. Out-jumped him.
At 6'5", he had a big advantage over Jasper Beeler. An impressive drive for Eastern Michigan, capped off by a 6-yard touchdown from Noah Kim to Joshua Long. The home team on top, 13-10. Hard to be better than perfect, although, of course, you'd rather have 22 touchdowns. But every time into the red zone this year, Eastern Michigan has put points on the board.
Yeah, and this is Kim going out, they're in scramble drill, pass. Instead of that, he sees it long in the end zone, throws it up to a 6'5" guy who's on a shorter guy. Able to go up, bring it down for the touchdown. Now, the interception, the receiver didn't turn around. This time, Long put his hand up and was ready to make the catch. A lot different than, trying to back shoulder throw a receiver that's not really looking.
And I love the fact that Joshua Long, who's the latest for Eastern Michigan in their California junior college pipeline, he didn't have a position coach last year at El Camino Community College in California. So he had to go with both the offensive line coach when it was a run play and with the receivers coach when it was a pass play.
Wow.
You just make do.
That's a little ingenuity there.
The return man, Devion Reynolds. Week 1 against Holy Cross, he returned one 96 yards to the house, not given the opportunity to return that one. And so now how will Northern Illinois answer? In the second half today, Northern does have the 80-yard touchdown run, but has yet to possess the football and had a play from scrimmage on the other side of the field. Eastern, meanwhile, has had 12 snaps in positive territory.
That just comes when you got to be more disciplined for Northern Illinois. They had a penalty, and then you look at this offense, they've got to do more than just run the play. Maybe they, run a little play action, get things going. But when you have a young quarterback, you don't want to force it.
8.5 minutes remaining. And that freshman Brady Davidson hands it off to the fifth-year Chavon Wright. Good 6-yard gain on first down.
They can actually do that all the way down the field. Just keep running it. But they're going to have to spread this defense out a little bit. Right now, everybody's inside the box.
And again, last year, Wright was a Division II All-American. He scored 38 touchdowns at the University of Charleston in West Virginia. He stays in to protect. Quarterback takes a hit, and it's intercepted. Taken away by Bryce Llewellyn to the 20, and tackled finally at the 15. The senior bandit from Indianapolis with a huge takeaway.
That's just a young quarterback throwing the ball too late, number one. When you're out there, you have a cannon of an arm, but you can't throw it late. And he allowed that safety to come over the top. And he was trying to throw a back shoulder to his receiver. You can't throw it late. The receiver's out there playing middle of the field. That was an easy pass play for him.
Llewellyn has been a playmaker this year on the back end for Eastern. He was the MAC Defensive Player of the Week after 10 tackles in the win over Louisiana, plus an interception in the fourth quarter. This is second INT of the year. And now can the Eagles pay it off? Back inside the red zone, where they are perfect this year. McMillan tries to cut it back. Does a nice job to find a crease and get positive yardage.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of time on the clock right now. If they were to score a touchdown, so they do something. They're going to have to blitz him. They got to make, him uncomfortable in the pocket. Something to get him off his mark. Because right now, their offense is pretty much doing what they want to do.
Harold Mack Jr., number 23, in the slot to the right. Handed off McMillan. Made the first man miss with a jump cut. And once he left Ty Miles in the dust, he's able to get it down to about the 10-yard line.
Long is doing just as good of a job catching the ball. He's also doing a great job blocking. Now they split him out in the slot.
That's number 87, the tight end, Joshua Long. Eastern says it's on Northern. Northern says it's on Eastern. What do you know?
False start. Offense, number 50. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
That's your graduate left guard, Owen Snively.
Yeah, Hensley moved and went down, but he didn't cross the line of scrimmage. He tried to act like he got influenced on the play. That's why he jumped up.
Clock continues to move, under 7 minutes to go. 3rd and 10. The line to gain is the 5. Noah Kim changes the play. Still 6 seconds on the play clock. Give to McMillan. Able to hold on to that football. Keeps those legs and feet moving down to the 10. So now 4th down and 5. What do you do here?
You got to kick the field goal on this play. You know, put you up by 2 scores, kick the field goal, and then make this running game for Northern Illinois go the entirety of the field. And, you know, at this point, you know, you got to get to a point where you got to take the Davidson, the young freshman quarterback. Can he win it for you?
It'll be a 28-yard field goal attempt for Rudy Kessinger. Out of the hold of Tomasek. The kick is up, and it is good. So Eastern Michigan remains perfect with the football in the red zone, and they cash in the Bryce Llewellyn interception with a big field goal to push the lead to 6. The Eagles looking to take down the Huskies as we head down the stretch. .540 left in the 4th quarter. Eastern Michigan, its offense has been led by its 5th-year quarterback Noah Kim. 19 of 32 passing, 147 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. Dante McMillan, not surprisingly, has gone over the 100-yard mark, 103 yards on 22 carries. Now it's up to this Eastern defense. Bryce Llewellyn with 8 tackles in the INT. Andrew Marshall also 8 tackles. Can they get a stop and get this Huskies offense, which other than one big play has been non-existent here in the second half?
They played pretty good gap control defense against this offense. You know, they know what they want to do. They're stopping what they do best. Force Davidson, the young freshman quarterback, into making mistakes, and that's what they've done in the second half.
The kick off the hands of the Upnan, picked up. Good return out across the 30-yard line, and a big collision at about the 35-yard line. Marvell Eggleston on the tackle. Well, earlier today, as we are accustomed to, the field goal kickers stretch themselves to see how far they can kick it from, and that is a big right leg for Rudy Kessinger.
They've needed him today, too. Stay on top. Stay consistent. That red zone is great for him.
Yeah, he's perfect 3 for 3 today, and you see the long of 49 yards. Northern has had one missed field goal, but they've got an all-conference type field goal kicker as well. Down 6, though. They need to put it in the end zone. Davidson hands it off. Johnson, who is nearing his career high single game rushing, which is 141 yards. That came last season. He is now up over 120 for the day.
And, you know, it's plenty of time on the clock for this offense to, you know, stay steady and ready. You know, you may need to run, you know, probably 3 or 4 minutes off the clock, but just good old running the ball, consistent offense.
Well, the Huskies would love nothing more, Barrett, than to keep the football the rest of the game, scored the tying touchdown at the buzzer, and kicked the game-winning PAT after zeros were up on the clock. Out of the grasp of Carter Evans, somehow able to keep his feet and get a first down is Telly Johnson Jr.
That was a great run right there. To not be denied, keep them chains moving, and keep the offense on time. This offense needs to stay on time, and what this is, we call it stretch. Block down, pull everybody around, and let them pick a hole.
This time, Carter Evans able to make the tackle on Telly Johnson.
And I love what Coach Quinn Sanders is doing. He's just running the rock. He's not going to put the ball in harm's way, you know, not force Davidson to win the game for him. He wants his running backs, Wright and Johnson, to win this game for him.
Warren Stevens-Tayu, one of the backup defensive tackles, comes on, replacing Bryce Eluke, a backup linebacker. A little more beef up front on second down. Davidson on the move, has a man in stride. Diari Rogers, who has been held in check for the most part today, makes it third down and manageable.
They bring in an extra defensive lineman. They run double eagle, or I call it Navajo, where they cover both guards in the center and put defensive lineman on the outside. What do? Run a little boot. Give it to your playmakers on the outside.
Tyrell Martin, their starting tackle, replaces Messiah Blair up front on this third down and 5 play. Gonna run it with Wright. Keeps his feet to the 50-yard line and finally wrestled to a stop short of the line to gain. And once again, it's the true freshman from St. Louis, Quincy Bias, on the tackle.
I mean, this isn't a hard decision right here for Coach Hammock. They've got to go for it. 4th and 3. What do? Do you pass it? You put it in Davidson's hand, the freshman quarterback, or do you hand it off?
The first time this half, NIU has had a play from the other side of the 50-yard line. It's a big one on 4th and 2. They're going to let the freshman throw the football. It's caught, but was he in bounds? No, out of bounds was Rogers. And so they turned it over on downs.
And, you know, this is just a young quarterback making a young decision. I mean, he had the out route for the shorter pass play. It was open for the whole time. He just didn't throw it to him. He wanted the big play. Sometimes you got to take the little one. Here, what? 7, he's wide open right there. Give the ball to him. Givens is wide open. But that's a freshman mistake. He's a young guy. He'll eventually learn, you know, next year we're talking about him being a veteran. He'll make better decisions. But that was just him making a young decision and not being able to, you know, to keep the chains moving by just getting the first down on the out route.
And so now Northern is going to have to use its 3 timeouts, plus you've got the 2-minute timeout remaining. They'll be able to stop the clock and get the football back if this defense can stop the offense of Eastern Michigan. Gain of 1, timeout called by Thomas Hammock immediately.
Pads popping out there. There's still no give up in this Husky team.
Northern Illinois. They're first of the half.
Well, once again, Ty Miles, their redshirt senior nickel, who was given the special #1 jersey from graduating senior Ja'Shawn Prophet following their bowl win over Fresno State. They call it passing the torch at Northern Illinois. He's a big part of what the Huskies defense is all about.
You know, I was thinking, you know, all these teams, you know, like Temple Tough, single digit. You go to you know, Tulsa, they have the kind of the same thing. I mean, there are so many teams that have these special numbers. How come an offensive lineman? How come I couldn't wear number 1? You know, I wanted to wear number 1.
They've got those restrictive rules against you guys.
Oh, I mean, it will just stretch the 7 out a little bit. You know, but we need to be able to wear them special numbers also.
So after Northern used its first timeout, we've got 2:35 remaining in the fourth quarter. Noah Kim hands to Porter on the sweep. He's tripped up by Jasper Beeler, who continues to add to his career-high tackle mark. And another timeout used by Coach Hammett.
You can't just, you know, think that you can just continue to run. You got to more than likely get a first down. Keep these chains moving, because we're talking about an explosive Husky offense. They can, you know, break a big play at any time. We already saw about an 80-yard run.
Timeout.
By Johnson.
Northern Illinois. They're second of the half. 30 seconds.
They've got to stay aggressive. You know, right now you just can't think you can run the clock out. That's too much time for a team to think that they can just go ahead and let this go.
Well, Barrett, here's a look at next week's schedule around the MAC. Eastern will be on the road in Miami, Ohio for a noon kickoff, while Northern Illinois will try to slow down Parker Navarro and the Ohio Bobcats. A 3:30 kick in Athens. Maction. And we'll have midweek Maction before you know it. It gets late early, but still, as we talked about off the top and throughout the broadcast, with both of these teams in dire straits in terms of the win-loss record, there is time to overcome that, as we're not quite to the middle of October.
Yes, you know, with all these teams being the way they are, I mean, the war of attrition will take effect. They will have an opportunity to knock each other off.
So now the Huskies defense needs one more stop to get the football back. It's third down. Fake the handoff to McMillan. Kim, who was being spied, is brought down by who else? Quinn Erweiler, the second leading tackler in the country.
Great open field tackle. Stayed within the framework of his body. Didn't get faked out by a guy that's a better athlete. You know, he could have easily just ran past, but Erweiler makes a play. Stayed within, perfect tackle for him, form tackle. That's what you want by your veteran, number 1 tackler on the team.
He makes over 7 solo tackles a game. That's in the country.
Solo, and these are not just tackles, these are impact tackles too. You know, that was an impact tackle. That was, you know, the difference between them getting another opportunity for his offense to be back on the field.
So Northern burns its third and final timeout, but we'll get the ball back with plenty of time on the clock. And again, remember, we've got the 2-minute timeout still to come. Let's see if Mitchell Thomasek can provide a little punting magic, as we have seen time and again here in Ypsilanti over the last few years. Puts his right foot into it. Rogers lets it go over his head, and it lands and bounces into the end zone. If Thomasek had gotten a little different bounce, he deadened it at about the 3-yard line. But it's a nice bounce for the Huskies, who will have to go 75 yards with an opportunity to escape with a come-from-behind victory here in Ypsilanti.
Can they do it running the ball, or are they going to rely on their young quarterback, freshman quarterback, to, you know, have a game-winning drive going down the field?
Well, with no timeouts remaining, they're going to have to throw the football.
He's got to be magical, but this is just one thing where you build your lore as a player. Can he go out and make this happen? Can he go out and impose his will on this defense?
Offensive coordinator Quinn Sanders calling the plays up in the press box. Davidson. Good pitch and catch to George Demopoulos. Clock stops after a short gain on first down.
Little out routes, and maybe an out and up for a big play.
Johnson stood up and driven back by Donovan Green, the nose tackle from Palmetto, Louisiana. And that brings us to our 2-minute timeout. Time is of the essence. The Huskies trying to drive for what would be a game-winning touchdown.
This is the 2-minute timeout.
16-10 Eastern over Northern. Final 158 of regulation. Northern Illinois with the football. Long way to go, and on third down, they have not been good percentage-wise today. 3 of 13 on third down. The running back is Telly Johnson Jr. He's been their big play back today. They've got to get to the 30-yard line. Davidson to the air. Caught. First down. Huskies keep the football going. Diari Rogers able to get some yards after the catch as well.
Does the rookie make a name for himself? March his team down the field.
Flag in the middle of the field.
Delay game defense, number 1. 5 yards added to the end of the run. Result of the play is a first down.
Huge mistake on that. You take the ball, messing around with the ball. They're trying to set up so they can get back to the next play. Crucial penalty. That's 5 more yards they don't have to go against. The rookie doesn't have to go against.
Joshua Scott with the penalty. Meanwhile, Northern Illinois has yet to be penalized today. A minute 51 on the clock. Plenty of time for the freshman quarterback, Davidson. Again, it looked like his intended receiver, Rogers, may have lost his footing.
Yeah, he lost his footing, but still, the ball was late getting out. He can't afford to have this ball getting out late. That's how you get picks. DBs are taught to undercut that. Even though it wouldn't have been he wouldn't have been able to undercut it, it's still getting out too late. He's got to be more of a gunslinger. Get the ball out as fast as he can going against these defenders.
Davidson, 9 of 19 passing for only 67 yards today. Second down and 10. Another completion. This time he finds Bryant coming across the middle, who hustles the football back to the official, who places it at the 49-yard line. Third down and 4.
He's getting time. The offensive line are holding their part of the deal.
Davidson looking left, throws right, and just gets rid of the football.
It's a young mistake. He didn't have to do that. There wasn't anybody pressuring him or anything at this point. Go through your reads, settle down. Somebody needs to tell Davidson to settle down a little bit. You know, yes, we understand this is a high-pressure situation, but the great quarterbacks, that's when they get more calm, more businesslike in their approach.
Eastern's defense can win the football game with a stop right here. Timeout, Eastern.
Timeout, Eastern Michigan. Their first charge, timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
So if you're Chris Creighton and his defensive coordinator, Ben Needham, what are you going to do here on fourth down?
I'm going to go back and play coverage. I'm going to play zone on the backside. I'm not even going to blitz them. I'm going to let my guys up front rush the passer, and as they're rushing the passer, I want to make this quarterback go out there and read his way through, you know, his options. You know, is he going to be able to hit the out? And can he hit the dig going across? Can he throw it on time and strong enough to get it to his receiver on time? Maybe it's a crossing route.
Got a moment here. We can show you the other scores from around the MAC. Congratulations to Eddie George. He picks up his first MAC win as head coach of Bowling Green. 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns to come from behind and beat Toledo.
Wow.
But right here, it's coming right down to it. Brady Davidson on fourth down and 4. $15 on the play clock. Davidson gets rid of it. Has a man. It's a first down. Gary Gibbons, the third, still driving to the 30-yard line and still on his feet as the clock runs down near 1 minute.
This is how you build your career. Great play by the rookie. He sits in the pocket. He didn't have to go, but he stayed there long enough to see the receiver uncover in the middle of that zone defense. Delivered a catchable ball. Great play by him.
A 21-yard pass play. Davidson drilled as he throws. It's an incomplete pass.
Great pass rush on the outside. He gets on the outside, tackle falls, hits him, throws it. That's just coming part of being, a quarterback. The backside, the blind side. Great pass rush. Jerk and pull on the offensive tackle, pulling him down, and then go make the hit on the quarterback.
Quincy Bias again announcing his presence for Eastern Michigan. 2nd and 10. And again, that rush gets home to Davidson and forces an errant pass. It's number 0, Carter Evans, with the heat on the QB.
And who's stepping up? The guys we expected to step up. The major pass with Evans comes and beats the tackle around the corner, hits the quarterback. The play before, you got to have guys that can rush the passer and rush the passer effectively.
On 3rd and 10, Davidson whistles that one out of bounds, incomplete. They will face another crucial 4th down.
He just rushed that pass right there. He's getting rattled by not necessarily the pass rush, he's getting rattled by the moment. This moment right now is kind of feeling a little too big for him right now. He's got to settle down like he did on that 4th down and deliver a catchable ball. Don't rush it, but get it there on time.
The running back is right on 4th and 10. Again, a chance to win it for this Eastern defense. Davidson throws it toward the end zone, incomplete, and the Eagles will survive. Northern Illinois put together its most impressive drive of the 2nd half, but they come up short on 4th down.
Yeah, he's got to take a little bit off that. He's just not on the same page as his receiver Givens on that play. He sits back. He has time in the pocket. They got protection. Maybe you lead him a little more to the inside and not so far. But, you got to give it to the defense. They played great on the back end. Not a lot of pressure from the guys up front, with the exception of the former 2 plays, but they were there when they needed to.
So after suffering an excruciating loss last Saturday at Buffalo in overtime 31-30, Eastern Michigan will pick up its first conference win of the year and a hard-fought victory to improve to 1-2.
Great play. No one knows they fought, but the more experienced quarterback made plays when he had to, and this MAC action. The parity here is great. Great battle by this Eagles defense and offense, coming in to play and playing at a high level.
Northern Illinois, as the final seconds tick off, falls to 0-2 in the MAC, 1-5 overall. Eastern Michigan improves to 2-5 and 1-2 in league play.
Great competitive game. I love this game. Not a lot of points scoring, but it was great defense. It was never a point where, the action wasn't there. Just 2 Titans fighting against each other, crawling against each other. This is what football is all about to me. I loved calling this game.
Your kind of game. Your kind of game, Bear.
Absolutely.
For Bear Brooks, I'm Doug Sherman. Final score once again, 16-10 Eastern Michigan over Northern Illinois. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. So long from Ypsilanti. This has been a presentation of ESPN.